What's up, guys? It's Brandon Flash. Today you're joining me with a 2024 Model 3 refresh, or Model 3 Highland, re-engineered Model 3, whatever the heck you want to call it. I'm here with one. I've just driven it, and I'm going to give you some of my first thoughts. So as I mentioned, this is a 2024 Model 3 refresh. Tesla also calls it the re-engineered Model 3, Model 3 Highland, whatever the heck you want to call it. It's the new Model 3 with the refreshed front end, no fog lights, as you can tell there. Also has the upgraded interior, different wheels, slightly more efficient, no more stocks, things like that. But let me give you a quick tour. This is the Stealth Gray. I did not shut that door fully. As you can tell, has the 18-inch Aero wheels. It also is a rear-wheel drive, so not the long range. You can see they've given me a dealer plate with a expired registration. Love that. Trunk has the Tesla lettering written out like I have on my own Model Y aftermarket. This is interesting. The flap is actually moved up. You've got trunk, of course, as always. I mean, you guys know this car at this point. It's nothing too crazy, but just wanted to share some of my thoughts. Overall, really like it, but that's not to say it's without complaints. The no stocks, really annoying. I don't know why Tesla decided to remove the stocks, like you can see here. No stocks like there normally would be. The amount of times I kept reaching for the stocks for a turn signal or to put in driver reverse, just annoying. Also interesting, on the steering wheel, as you can see, also with the lack of stocks, they moved the stitching to the rear of the wheel. Normally it's on kind of the inside of the rim, so you actually feel that when you're holding the wheel, which I don't particularly love. Not a big deal to most. These new seats are pretty fantastic. They're ventilated. The ventilation works really well, actually. Something else that changed, Tesla moved the 12-volt outlet, or actually 15-volt outlet, I guess, technically, on this car, since it has the lithium low voltage battery, into this forward console. And then you also have this like shelf space up here, which is actually kind of interesting. I kind of like that, actually. Instead of having it in the rear console like on every other 3Y. This steering wheel, if you notice, it's also very concave, so this kind of dips in a lot. And these buttons can be a bit hard to press. I don't particularly like them, unfortunately. Maybe I'd get used to them, but should you have to get used to control or basic controls on a vehicle? I don't think so. So I don't know why Tesla decided to reinvent the wheel there. Literally, you don't need to. It works fine how it was. Personally, a huge fan of the removal of the wood on the dash, on the black interior, as you can see here. I was never a fan of the wood. It also never really aged that well, so I just wasn't a fan. You can also see the interior lighting, kind of, that blue strip. I think that's really nice, really subtle, but nice. And you can, of course, change the color of that. I just had it set to blue, so pretty nice improvements there. Something I also noticed, the cup holder has these little like foam insert bits. I don't know if you can maybe remove that to clean it easier, but helps hold drinks more in place. You have to require a little bit more force to remove them, which may or may not be a good thing. I don't know. But stops drinks from rattling, because otherwise in the old console, cups or drinks would really rattle in the cup holders, which would be pretty annoying. Something else, as I'm getting in and out of this car, this sill, it may just be that I'm not super used to a Model 3 at this point since I have a Model Y, but this seems really high to have to lift your leg over as you're getting in and out. And I'm tall, so this car is just kind of annoying to get in and out of. I kind of have to brace myself against the B-pillar here to then lift myself out rather than being able to just get out. But again, that's just more of a complaint of the vehicle size and format itself rather than of the Model 3 itself. But overall, the Model 3 refresh is pretty excellent if you're in the market for a small sedan like this is that's electric. As of right now, the price on the Model 3 refresh rear-wheel drive is $38,990. There's no tax credit available as of right now, which is unfortunate. So that is the price you pay. Whereas the Model Y rear-wheel drive, or any Model Y, is actually eligible for $7,500 point of sale tax credit, meaning it comes off when you purchase it. So that actually makes the Model Y rear-wheel drive, if you're eligible for the tax credit, $2,500 cheaper. And that's upfront. That's not that you get it a year later like in years past, but actually your purchase price, your loan price, whatever, is actually $2,500 less. So I'm gonna see if I can drive a Model Y rear-wheel drive now, just to do a back-to-back comparison. But I really think that the Model Y rear-wheel drive is probably a better choice for most people. That's not a dig on the Model 3 refresh. This is pretty excellent, but it's just not the best value in the Tesla's lineup right now, given the tax credit availability, unfortunately. And overall, I am a big fan of the Model 3. I could definitely pile the miles on this car. It is so quiet, so comfortable, but it's not that much better than the Model Y, realistically. The Model Y was already pretty excellent. I have a 2023 Model Y myself that rides just as well as just as quiet. So yes, it's a huge improvement from earlier 3Y, but it's not a huge improvement from the existing 3Y that were being made as of prior to this refresh. Anyway, if you're in the market for a for a Tesla in general, Model 3Y SX, make sure you use my referral. That's linked down below. You'll get 3 months of FSD as of right now. But of course, Tesla changes that all the time. So depending on when you're watching this, that may or may not be the case. But if you have any questions, comment down below. Otherwise, I'm going to head back to the Tesla showroom, return this Model 3, and see if I can grab a Model Y rear-wheel drive to do a back-to-back comparison for you guys. And then I did want to just show how you put this in gear. Let's see how the auto shift works. So I just got in, put my seatbelt on. I'm going to put my foot on the brake. Let's see what happens. So you can see that shows up. So my seatbelt is already fastened. Maybe it didn't register that. So my seatbelt is on. So I'm going to tap then. Okay, so I guess that is actually pretty slick. I would still prefer a stock personally. Oftentimes I'll throw it in gear before I have my seatbelt on, and I'll be putting my seatbelt on as I'm initially rolling out of a parking spot or whatever. So I don't know how much I like that. Probably is slightly safer, but who knows if that's necessary. Well, unfortunately, Tesla did not have a Model Y rear-wheel drive available to drive, which seems like a huge miss. That's their least expensive vehicle in the entire lineup when you factor in the tax credit, and they don't have one available to test drive. Maybe they sold it, whatever. They should have that as a pretty high priority to replace, however, in my opinion. Anyway, I'm back in my personal Model Y, my 2023 Model Y all-wheel drive, which is the standard range all-wheel drive, which is now discontinued with the 4680 battery pack, which I do not recommend buying. However, the new standard range rear-wheel drive actually has the standard long-range battery, just software limited. So that's a huge improvement compared to the 4680 battery that I have in mine. So actually, I recommend the rear-wheel drive Model Y now, even though I don't recommend the all-wheel drive standard range. Anyway, if you're buying a new Model Y today, the standard range rear-wheel drive, the base Model Y, is totally fine for most people. If you don't want the performance, if you don't need the crazy range, well, not that any Tesla really has crazy range, but if you don't need the long-range range, and you just want an everyday car that you can also take on road trips, the rear-wheel drive Model Y is pretty excellent. And overall, for most people, even though the Model 3 refresh is pretty fantastic, for most people, I would still recommend a Model Y, just being that it's more practical. It has the hatchback. It's easier to get in and out of. It's higher up. You have better visibility while you're driving, and it's cheaper. So there's really not a whole lot of compelling reasons to get a new Model 3 unless you really want a sedan, if you really want the latest tech, or if you're not eligible for the tax credit, so that's not a factor if you make too much money. Because if you make too little money previously for the tax credit, not having enough tax liability, that's no longer a factor with the point of sale tax credit, because the IRS has given guidance that they will not do a clawback if you don't make enough to qualify for the full tax credit. However, if you make too much for the full tax credit, that you will have to pay back. So definitely consult a CPA or look at the rules on that before you make a decision if you're borderline at all. But I'm very happy with my Model Y purchase. This feels like home. It has the stocks, which are just excellent. I think Tesla actually had some of the best kind of user interface for vehicles of any vehicle on the market, and then they went and ruined it with their capacitive buttons on the wheel and no gear stock or no turn signal stock. So really a strange move from Tesla in that regard, and a pretty big regression, unfortunately, being that Tesla's stocks were actually fantastic. So if you have any questions, comment down below. If you found this video helpful, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you guys for watching.